Alright guys, welcome back to the course. So in this video, let's talk about the project structure before we actually move on and start creating our models. Let's think about what actually needs to be created. So in order to do that, I'm going to head over to the BFF book, which is our main project folder, and over here I'm going to create a new file called structure or maybe POMD. Okay, so this is like project overview MD. And over here, let's talk about the key points. So we will have two applications. The first one will be called profiles, and the second one will be called posts. Okay? And then the third part will be authentication. Actually, I'm going to put in over here all auth, and in the parentheses, authentication. Because we will be using a third-party package for this called Django Auth. It will be pretty awesome and very simple. Okay, so this is something that we will cover at the end of the course. For now, what we want to do in the next videos is to create models for the profiles application and the post application. So maybe starting from the top, from our profiles application, let's put down the first model that will be called profile, and every user will have his own unique profile. Okay, so basically every time a user is created, a profile to this user will be created as well, and we will be using Django signals for this. Okay, and the next thing that we are going to create is the relationship model. And this relationship model will help us manage relations because it will consist of, among others, three very important fields. The first one is the sender. So who initialized the relation? Who sent the invitation? Then we have the receiver. So who received the invitation? Okay. And then we have the status. So what is the status of this relationship? Is it sent and it's waiting for acceptation, or is it already accepted? And if it's accepted, we need to apply some additional logic because we need to extend the friends list of the receiver as well as the sender. And what if it's ignored? Well, in that case, I think we will just leave this invitation hanging with the status of sent. We will ignore it. We won't do anything about it, okay? But what we need to do for sure is to handle the functionality of removing from friends. So for example, I received an invitation from a particular user. I decided to accept it. And then after, I don't know, 3-4 days, I decided to, just get rid of this user and delete him from my friends list. So what I need to do is to find this user, press the remove from friends button, and what will happen over there? Well, the relationship model will get deleted. It won't exist anymore, and we will be using a pre-delete signal to get this particular user out of my friends list and also get me out of his friends list. Okay, so this is something that we will need to handle with the relationship model. We will have some additional fields like the updated field and the created field. It will be fun. And let's go now to the posts application. And over here we are going to have a post model. Okay, so basically this post model will consist of some content and an optional image. Okay, and to this post we will be able to add some comments. So we need to have a comment model as well as the like model, because each particular post can be liked. And if we decide to like a particular post, we also need to have an opportunity to unlike this post. So this is what we are going to apply with this post application. Alright guys, so this is basically the structure. Looks very easy. However, I can assure you that if you are a beginner to Django, you will learn a lot. So thank you for this video. In the next one, we will start working with the models starting from the profile. So once again, thank you and see you soon. Take care and bye-bye. Alright guys, welcome back. So in this video, let's create our application. So I'm going to quit the server from running and Python manage py start app, and the first one will be posts, okay? And then we will create another one, Python manage py start app profiles. And actually we are going to begin with the profiles. So if we head over to Visual Studio Code, right now we should see profiles and posts application. So what we are going to do first before we open them up is to head over to the settings and bring them in as installed applications. So I'm going to put in posts and write down below profiles. Okay, so now we can head over to the profiles application and begin our work with the profile model. So in order to do that, we need to find models.py file, open it, and over here we are going to define a class called profile, and this class inherits from models.model. So now we need to define the fields of this class. So for sure we will need to have a first name and then the last name, and we will need to have the user, and we can also add a bio. Email might be useful. Maybe we can also add a country, and it will be very good if we would have an avatar. It would make our profile look nicer. For sure we need to have friends, and this will be our friends list. So this field is absolutely mandatory for this project. Let's also have a slug, and let's also put in the updated so we will know when the profile has been updated. And also let's add a created so we will know when the profile has been created. And each of those fields represent column in the database. So if we have a look at the first name, we will have, for example, Luke, John, then Jane, and so on, okay? And every row will be like an object. We will refer to it as an object, but the fields are going to be like columns in the database, okay? So this is how it basically works. So now let's define those fields. I'm going to define the first one as models char field, and I'm going to specify the max length of 200, and I'm also going to write down blank is equal to true. With blank is equal to true, we are making this field optional, okay? So I'm going to actually copy everything from here and paste it below. The same logic will apply for the last name. With the user, well, here we have a different case because this is going to be a models 1 to 1 field, and every user will only have his own profile, okay? So this is why we are using 1 to 1 field and not the foreign key. And in order to continue working on this particular field, we need to import our user model. So from Django contrib.auth models import user. Okay, so now it's imported, we can bring it in, and let's write down on delete is equal to models cascade. So basically every time a user is deleted, the profile will be deleted as well. Okay, so now we have the bio, so this will be just an ordinary text field. And over here we can also write down blank is equal to true, or we can set a default value, and let's just put in no bio. Okay. And yeah, do we want to do anything else over here? I think we can specify the max length to 300, for example. Okay. So the next thing is the email, and this will be models email field, and also the max length will be, let's say, 200, and blank is equal to true, so let's make this field optional. Then we have the country, so this is very easy. Let's just copy our first name. Okay, so it's going to be a char field again. And then we have the avatar, so over here we will need to use the image field. So we also need to install Pillow, and we will do it in just a second. But what's important is that actually we aren't going to store any images with inside this field. We are going to store the path to this particular avatar image. All right, so what we need to specify over here is we can actually provide a default value, so it will be avatar PNG, and we need to get this avatar PNG as well as the upload to. So where do we want to upload our avatars? Okay, so we will do it in just a second. We need to find this avatar PNG as well as install Pillow. So maybe below I can write down install Pillow, and then create media root, and inside the media root folder we will put in this avatar PNG. So find avatar PNG and specify the upload to, so we can actually do it right away. We will put all the avatars in the avatars folder, at least for now. Okay, so this will be our upload to. Next we have the friends. So this will be models many to many field, and again inside this many to many field we will put in the user, and we also need to put in blank is equal to true, or maybe default is equal to none, but I'm just going to put in blank is equal to true, and the related name, which I will explain a little bit later, I'm just going to put in as friends. So the name will remain the same over here. All right, and then we have a slug. So this will be models and slug field, and we want a slug to be unique. So I'm just going to put in unique is equal to true, but as well as blank is equal to true, because over here we are going to override the save method, and we are going to create the slug based off the first name and last name if they are provided. If there's no first name and last name, we are going to create the slug out of the user. All right, so this is what we are going to do in just a few seconds. And then we have the updated, so this will be models date time field with auto now is equal to true, and for the created we will have pretty much the same, but instead of auto now we will have auto now add is equal to true. Finally, let's add a string representation method. Let's put in str, which takes in self. And then let's put in return, and let's just do it like, let's just take in the self user and the username, and next to it let's put in the self created. Okay, so we will know when the profile has been created. The profile will be basically created after a user has been registered to our site, but for now we don't have this logic applied, okay? This doesn't work just yet. We will need to add a signal. We will do this very soon, but not in this video. So for now, we are going to create the profile to my user absolutely manually. Alright, so the next step will be to find this avatar PNG. What we need to do is to find it, save it, and then create the media root folder and put this avatar PNG inside over here. And then finally we will install Pillow. Okay, so I'm at pixabay.com and I wrote down avatar. Here are some results. So please select an avatar, an image of an avatar that you like the most. I'm going to set a default avatar maybe as this one. So I'm going to download it. And I'm going to put in the desktop. I'm going to rename it to avatar. Avatar, okay. And now what I'm going to do is to open up the social project, go inside the static CDN. Over here, let's create the media root folder and let's just bring this avatar. Alright, so this step has been taken care of, and now what we can do is to install Pillow. So pip install Pillow. All right, and also let's do the migration. So Python manage py make migrations. No changes detected. So let's head over to, okay, this, we added it to the settings, but we didn't actually save the models py file. So I'm going to do it right now after I delete those comments. And let's try it again. Python manage py make migrations. All right, so we have an error on elite, and okay, it's over here on delete. So let's try this again. Python manage py make migrations, and then okay, another typo. Where is it? It's in the text field. Okay, text field is in the bio. I'm going to type it again. Default, like this. So let's try this out one more time. Python manage py make migrations. All right, this time it worked. Python manage py migrate, and Python manage py run server. But Python manage py run server. All right, so we actually won't be able to see our profile just yet in the admin because we haven't registered it. So in order to do that, we need to find the admin py file, and over here let's import our model. So from .models import profile, and then we need to register it. Admin site register profile. All right, so now let's save it and let's head over to the admin. Let's refresh the page. Here is the profiles, and let's add one. So I'm just going to select the user, and yeah, press save and continue. You can see which fields are mandatory and which are optional by the font. The ones with the bolded fonts are mandatory, and the ones with the regular font are optional. So over here we have a mandatory field of the user, then we have the bio, but the bio has already a default value, so it's all right. And the avatar has also some default value provided. So we should be able to actually save this. So let's try it out. All right, so the user has been created. We can head over to the profiles. Here is our confirmation with the string representation. So later we will actually format this date. Right now what we can do is to actually check if the avatar works. Indeed it does, so that's perfect. And what we can do is to focus on the slug. So we want to override the save method in order to get the slug out of the first name and the last name if they exist, or we just want to put in the slug our username. So let's jump back into Visual Studio Code. So below the string representation, let's put in save. This takes in self and args and keyword args. But for now, I'm going to put in pass. We will continue working on this in just a second, but we need to actually think about a situation where we will have, for example, two users with the same first name and last name. What will happen then? The slug is already defined over here as unique. So we will probably want to have some random number generator, and the first profile will have its slug created based off the first name and the last name, but the second, as well as the third, fourth, and so on, will have some addition, and the addition will be this random number. Okay, so in order to create this random number, we need to have a helper function which we will store inside the utils py file. And the first thing that I'm going to do over here is to import UID, which stands for Universally Unique Identifier. And then let's put in this helper function. I'm going to call it get random number, or it actually won't be a number. It will contain letters and numbers as well. So maybe get random code, something like this. And below, let's define a variable called code. Everything should be in string format. So I'm going to put in over here in the parentheses UID, and then I'm going to use UID5, and I'm going to limit everything to 8 characters. What I would also like to do is to replace the dashes with none. Okay, so we can do it like this, and I would like to have everything in lowercase. So now we can simply return code. All right, and the final thing is to save it and bring it in inside the models py. So from .utils import get random code. All right, so we have this get random code. So let's focus now on this save method over here. I'm going to define a variable called x, and I'm going to store it initially as false. Then what I would like to do is to check if the first name and the last name exist, because if they exist, I want to create a slug out of the first name and last name. In other case, I want to store in the slug field this user. All right, so over here, let's just do a check. If self first name, and then what we need to do is simply write down last name. Then we would like to create a new variable, which we will call toSlug. And now we will slugify something, but we don't have slugify imported, so we need to write down from Django, and then we need to put in template. After the template, we will put in default filters, and from here we can import slugify. Okay, so now we can copy this and we can put it over here. So what we would like to slugify, well, we have the first name and the last name. So we can write down str self first name and then plus some blank space and then plus str self last name. Okay, so we have the to slug, and then we just need to be sure that this slug over here does not exist. So we are going to do it with this x variable. It will return only true or false. So I'm going to put in x is equal to profile objects and then filter, where the slug will be equal to slug. And then if we want to return a Boolean value, we need to put in exists. Okay, so now we have this returning true or false. And while x, so while this is true, so if the slug exists, we need to create a new one with an addition of this code that we created. So we can put in over here to slug, and then what we are going to do is slugify, and then we can put in again to slug, and then plus and plus str, and now we can put in our get random code. All right, and we can simply write the same logic over here. So I can actually copy this, and we will do it as long as we find a unique slug over here. Okay, so this is for the case where the first name and the last name exist. In other case, what we want to do is we want to simply set to slug as str and then self user. Okay. Finally, what we can do is to set this field self slug. So we are setting this field right now is equal to slug. And we can right now write down super, save, and pass in the args and keyword args. All right, so yeah, I think it's time to test this out. So let's save this and let's go back to the admin. Let's refresh the page. Maybe we have an error, so default filter should be filters. Let's save this. Let's refresh. Okay, let's try this out again. And let's save and continue. All right, so we have the slug based of our username. So now I'm going to put in some letters for the first name and last name so it's not blank. And the slug should look like this. Okay, we will see if we will get this result. So again, I'm going to put in save and continue, and there is our slug. So the final test is to create another user, set a profile with the same first name and last name, and let's see if we will have a random number for this slug. Okay, so let's jump into home. Let's go to the users, add a new one. I'm just going to put in test user, and I'm going to set a password. I'm going to press save, and I'm going to head back to home, add a profile, and let's do this again. So this time I'm going to select the test user, and I'm going to press save and continue. Okay, so this is a thing with the UED5. I'm going to go back to the utils.py file and change the UED5 to UED4. Okay. Let's just wait for the server to restart and let's try this out again. All right, and test user, save and continue. And as you can see, we have this random number, random code, you can say. All right, so this way we are getting a unique slug. If I put in here look and I press save and continue, I have look-m, okay, because this slug isn't taken. But if I go back over here and put in just L and a profile with the first name L and last name M already exists, I will have LM with some random code. Alright guys, so this is working. Thank you for this one, and we will see each other in the next video. Take care and bye bye.